Get ready for the big revival. The real estate revival, that is. Now on 77 WABC, your New York weekend.
Get ready for the big revival.
It's Rand on Real Estate with Greg Rand.
Get ready for the big real estate revival. This is Rand on Real Estate. I'm Greg Rand, your host on 77 WABC. We're going to talk today about the next real estate boom. You may be thinking to yourself, well, I keep hearing about the real estate bust. Well, that's exactly when you should start thinking about the next real estate boom. We're going to show you how to pick a winner. Start your own portfolio of real estate investing or add to your existing portfolio. But how do you go about picking a winner? I'm going to share with you some of the secrets that professionals use and how to pick winning markets and winning properties. We're going to talk to a small investor on the phone, somebody who's quietly getting wealthy in real estate, buying properties that you might drive by a million times and never even notice, but this is his retirement account, and we're going to speak with him and have him share his thoughts and strategies with you. But first, my favorite segment of the show, the smart people saying stupid things about real estate. The reason why this is my favorite segment is that it is cathartic for me. It's therapeutic for me. I spent the last several years during the Great Recession going through remote controls and plasma TVs like they're going out of style. I used to throw these things against the wall because I'd watch CNBC and I'd watch the business networks and I watch television, and I find one person after another who has very little experience, zero experience professionally in real estate, very little experience analyzing real estate, rookies all, commenting on the housing market, predicting doom in the housing market, scaring the heck out of a lot of people, literally driving the economy into worse shape, driving the recession deeper because of the impact of shaking people's innate faith in real estate. And so I used to be driven mad. I'd be watching this, and I know the real estate business. I've been in it my whole life. I understand it very well. And then I watch all these people who are, I don't know, some of them are economists, some of them are Wall Street guys, you know, currency traders and hedge fund guys, and you got some politicians thrown in the mix, and you have a whole host of news talking heads and reporters, all of which I guess think they have the expertise because they walk in and out of real estate every day. You know, they know the office market because they work in one. They know the retail market because they buy sneakers sometimes in a store. And they know the residential market, Lord knows, because they live under a roof, and so that qualifies them as an expert. Well, they're not, and if you rely on them for information, you're going to be led astray every time. So smart people saying stupid things about real estate is all about picking a victim this week, somebody who did it again, and trying to slice and dice the things that they said so that you can see for yourself that you shouldn't listen to them. You know, there are just some things you just shouldn't listen to. For example, don't listen to me. If I ever lose my mind and start commenting on currency trading, don't listen to me, all right? If you're asking about foreign currencies, I would tell you that I own foreign currencies. I have a couple of Italian dollars, whatever they're called, in my drawer. I went to Italy a few years ago, forgot to exchange them on the way out, so now they're mementos of my trip. That's the extent of my knowledge on foreign currencies. But if you ask Peter Schiff, Peter Schiff is the CEO of Euro Pacific Capital. He is a very smart guy. He understands the economy like the back of his hand, understands real estate not, but comments on it a lot. And in fact, Peter got famous back in 2005 when he predicted the real estate bubble. So before I go any further, I want to play you a clip of Peter being asked on the radio. Somebody called in, and a woman called in asking, they were talking all about the volatility of the world market, you know, with what's going on in Greece and Europe and giant bailouts all over the place, countries and states being bailed out. And this caller called and said, you know, with all the volatility and all the scariness out there, I'm being driven towards something more stable and more secure. And so I was thinking about gold, which I heard you speak about, Peter, but I'm also thinking about real estate. What do you think about real estate as an investment? Let's play the clip.
My answer is that if you're buying real estate as an investment, it's not going to be a good investment. Might less money in real estate than if you own U.S. Treasuries? Probably, but there's a lot of hassles involved. And if you want to buy real estate, look at some of the Asian economies. Even here in America, look up north at Canada, or maybe even down south of Mexico if you want to stay close to home. You don't want to own real estate where people are renting it to live in it. You don't want to own real estate where you have shopping centers, you know, department stores. That's going to be terrible.
No, of course not. You don't want to own real estate where people are going to be renting it to live in it. God forbid you buy real estate where you got people paying your rent. I love his quote for so many reasons. One is that he talked about staying closer to home. You know, like I'm a big believer in investing in markets that you know, and the ones that you know, start with the one you live in. If the longer you live there, the more you understand it and know it. We'll talk about that more in the second segment. But Closer to home is because you can, on the way out to work, you can take a look at it. On the way home from work, you can take a look at it. It's easier to manage because it's close to home. Canada and Mexico aren't close to home. But even more ridiculous than that statement is the fact that the reason why the American housing market has always performed as well as it has. Okay, home values in the last couple of years have come down for the first time since the Great Depression. There's an analogy to the Great Depression you don't hear on the news every day, right? Everyone talks about this is the biggest collapse since the Great Depression. Well, this is the first time real estate values have actually come down nationally since the Great Depression. The reason for that is that the product is not real estate. The asset class is not real estate. The asset class is America. You have a deed to a piece of America. So to the extent that you believe that America is a good country, that it's a prosperous country, you'd be crazy not to understand that. To the extent that you recognize that, in 200 plus a few years, we've become the most powerful, most prosperous, most advanced society on the planet ever, that we are the biggest immigration problem of any country in the planet. We're in demand, okay? And we are for sale. There are several million pieces of property available today for you to buy, and you get property rights to that deed. You own it. You can pass it on to your kids, and they can't take it away from you. So that's not the same thing in other countries. All right, other countries don't have the draw. They don't have the demand. They don't have the beacon of freedom and prosperity that draws people in. And so buying real estate in those countries depends on the country, but I wouldn't recommend somebody go and buy. Don't apply my strategies to go into Canada or Mexico. I don't understand them as Canada is pretty close, but you really can't. You can't compare is the point. And for him to say America is a bad bet, but maybe Mexico and Canada are a good bet. I don't follow immigration that closely, but what I do see is people leaving one country and coming to the other, and that's population growth in our country. And you can have a political view one way or the other, but gee whiz. Mr. Schiff is advocating buying someplace else but the United States, which makes him a really bad person to listen to when it comes to real estate investing. He got famous back in 2005 for predicting the real estate bubble would burst. Okay, so bravo. He's another guy that got famous for picking a loser. But, it's almost like, would I be an expert if I told you that 6 months from now, we're going to have massive global cooling? Okay, global cooling all across the northern hemisphere, and it's going to happen in 6 months. 6 months later, the temperatures come down, and I say, "See, I'm a genius. I'm a meteorological, prodigy because I picked global cooling." You say, "No, Greg, you just called the winter. That's called winter because every year it happens, and we know it." Well, a down cycle in real estate is just as predictable as winter. Mr. Schiff predicted winter in real estate. After a very hot summer, we then have a winter, and now what he's doing is he's missing the boom. The boom is what's next, the way the cycle operates. So Mr. Schiff missed it. I love the guy. He's running for Senate and for Chris Dodd's seat. I hope he wins. He's been on the show. He's a friend of the show, but he's a friend of the show because he doesn't know anything about real estate, and I love calling him on that. Our next clip is from a CNBC interview with a panel discussion. Let's just play that. Let it speak for itself.
The other idea that's kicking around is some of these jobs that President-elect Obama wants to put out could go towards knocking houses down that were built that were never going to get sold, and thereby reducing the inventory. So that's a help too. So it's jobs, jobs, jobs. All right, Fred, Patrick, and Diana, thanks so much for joining us. Happy New Year.
All right, that was Fred. Just stupidity on display. Yeah, let's create jobs because it's all about jobs, jobs, jobs. Remember 3 years ago, it was all about gas prices, gas prices, gas prices. Well, now it's all about jobs, jobs, jobs. And he advocates paying people to tear houses down. That's brilliant. That's on CNBC, one of the most noted voices in financial affairs in the country. So what's the point? Don't listen to the experts. Don't even listen to me, okay? My message to you is learn this for yourself. There's more common sense associated with real estate investing than you ever thought possible. And in the next segment, when we come right back, I'm going to show you how to pick a winner for yourself. This is Greg Rand. You're listening to Rand on Real Estate on 77 WABC.